we all know Alina Hubba 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 Hubba, and Trump's Dick Wolf choices about his legal representation. If you don't get that, then you haven't watched enough Law and Order and understand how Jill Hennessy is and shall always be the greatest female assistant DA in the Law and Order universe, and is the Kate Jackson of Law and Order. Smart, sexy, together, brilliant, good actress, just terrific. And her sideswipe death, spoiler alert, when they broomed her, and then she went on to do Crossing Jordan, and then she's an accomplished musician. I keep trying to get her to come down to the jam, but we'll get her there one day. Don't worry. Next jam is celebrating female singers, and so even though I'm hosting, I'm going to be singing girl songs, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to force fucking. I'm going to have to work on it, but I'm going to force Chuck to let me sing Alone by Heart. Yeah. And I'm going to have to do 2 days of vocal rest before it happens, but God damn it, I'm going to do it, right? In the meantime, though, we know we know Alina Hubba 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 Hubba, and then there was Christina Bobb, the old, and there are too many Andrew Dice Clay jokes that run to the front of everybody's mind when we bring her up, right? But here she is on the Rumble. Now, this is American Sunrise. It's a show on real America's voice for a real American sunrise. Think of it as like Good Morning Oklahoma nationwide without weather. That's basically it. It's think of it as the anti-gay Today Show. That's what. Now, I will say that right out of the gate, everyone in this fucked up cattywampus Brady Bunch, Partridge Family, listen to me, Brady Bunch picture is all upset and fucked up, and except Michael Cohen. The picture they chose for Michael Cohen, where he's genuinely smiling, like that is probably the happiest picture I have ever seen of Michael Cohen. The Shady Bunch, yeah. Meanwhile, Trump is like, I don't even know who that guy is. He's probably a Democrat who got me coffee, right? And look at the hosts, though, especially the dipshit over in the far corner over there and the lady above him. They're miserable. So good. And this is Christina Bobb. She's sharing updates on the New York civil trial and Michael Cohen's testimony. So she's going to give us, she was inside the courtroom. So we're going to get the real inside pooper scoop. Here we go.
Drama in downtown Manhattan yesterday for sure. We're talking, of course, about.
Goddamn. I got to say, these bright colors are going to do me in. Welcome to Sunshine. America's hell. Trump hates this place. Why are we're a communist state, failing and stuff, but sunshine. The sun is still shining for Jesus.
That trial. Here's the headline. Michael Cohen, Trump comes face to face with arch foe in court. Trump and his former attorney, Michael Cohen, arrived at court in New York.
And one of them is happy and the other is miserable. I'm going to guess which one of these two men has truth on his side. Gee, I don't know.
Within minutes, excuse me, of each other yesterday.
You're not excused. You're not. I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because while you asked for that, you put Getter, your fucking Getter name on the screen at the same. No. Being on Getter is fucking get her done is unforgivable.
A face-to-face encounter. Speaking to reporters as he entered the courtroom, President Trump reminded them that Cohen served prison time and said he was a, quote, proven liar.
Yes, he lied on his behalf. We've covered this.
For Cohen, he testified that President Trump ordered him to reverse engineer his assets to enhance his net worth. Well, join.
Right, and he did so under oath, and after he'd already served a prison sentence that would his probation afterwards, his early release, would be revoked if he lied in court again, if he did this ever again. So he's more trustworthy. It's kind of like going to a restaurant the first time it reopens after being shut down by the health department. That fucking place is clean. That's a real A. If you've been shut down for having a C and you reopen with an A, that's a fucking A. Believe me, they looked around. You cleaned that fucking place with a toothbrush. You know what I mean? That's the safest restaurant in the world is a restaurant that was just shut down and, you know, it was down for 3 months and then reopened.
Now to talk more about this is one of the attorneys for President Trump, Christina Bobb. Christina always...
Also, for the record, American Sunrise. They need to play some sort of a jingle every time that thing comes up because it's the only thing that would make it make sense. Also, when I freeze it, it darkens the screen a little bit and makes it very mustard, which is never mind. Anyways, Christina Bobb has both said she is his attorney and isn't his attorney in like rotation. She signed off on the Mar-a-Lago stuff. She's in deep shit in terms of the Jack Smith case because she was a participant in this. She's actually evidence in that case because she was made to lie by Donald Trump. He sacrificed her, but at the same time, she has to keep being his attorney or has been rebrought on as attorney to use her in terms of attorney-client privilege is the theory. But again, you can't, if she knows after the fact that he made her lie, she's still going to be a witness. There's just no way out of this.
To see you. Look, I mean, can credibility matter here? I mean, Michael Cohen is a convicted felon. Line up the quote, yin yang.
On behalf of Donald Trump, the lies he was found guilty of saying benefited and gave cover to Donald Trump. They are in line with what Donald Trump said. So Michael Cohen said what Donald Trump said, but he said it under oath, and that became a crime. There's your old chocolate whiz wang.
He makes Pinocchio look like an honest puppet.
That's a really lame analogy. An honest puppet. There are no honest puppets. They say what they're told. You'll say anything if you got a hand up your ass. Sorry.
You're exactly right. And under cross-examination by Alina Hobb.
Yeah, anybody who works for Donald Trump is a fucking scumbag. I don't know why they would oh, shit.
In court, President Trump's attorney in that case in New York, he admitted that he's lied under oath before. And she grilled him pretty hard, did a great job, basically acknowledging the number of times that he's lied. He acknowledged it. And then
on behalf of Donald Trump, the lies he told are part and parcel to the fraud charge against Donald Trump. This doesn't help you. I don't know why they think this helps.
We're supposed to believe that he wasn't lying when he pled guilty to a similar offense and said that it was him. And now he's accusing Donald Trump of doing this.
He was lying. He was lying when he said it was him and not Donald Trump. It was Donald Trump. Do you realize this is fucking stupid? That the more Alina Hobb should fucking cut bait with Michael Cohen and just leave it at we don't believe him now and that we think that he'll lie and that kind of stuff, or that he was the kind of person who would fix things. So how do we know he hasn't fixed this and planted bombs and screwed with things back then that are affecting us now? And we don't trust him as a witness, your witness, and then move on. But the fact that she's like, what did you say? Was that true? Did Donald Trump pay for this or did you? You said you paid for this. No, I didn't. I didn't actually pay for it. Donald Trump paid for it. I just lied on his behalf. Aha, I see. So you're a liar. Yeah, but I was lying to cover up for him so that he wouldn't get in trouble. Oh, I see. So you're the kind of person who would lie for a liar. Your Honor, I rest my case. Honest to God, the fact that she is cross-examining Michael Cohen at all is a fucking mistake.
Thing basically, they can't both be accurate. He was either lying then or he's lying now.
He was lying then. If he lies now, he goes back to jail. He has no interest in going back to jail, and he was lying on behalf of Donald Trump back then. He has no impetus to lie now. He has material evidence that he was lying then. There's evidence that shows that he was not telling the truth then. There is evidence to show that he is telling the truth now. Cut bait, dum-dum. Seriously, this is so I don't think people appreciate just how stupid this is. There should have been literally just, were you convicted of lying under oath? Yes, I was. Okay. That's all. That's our only question. Your Honor, we don't, we dispute everything that he says, and we believe that he's, that's it. And then move the fuck on. Because the more you dig down, all you find is he lied on behalf of this guy. That fucking guy. Who'd you lie? That guy. I was lying for him. He told me to say that, and then I said it, but I said it under oath, and that's a crime. He says it all the time. If you put him under oath, he'll either say the same thing and commit the same crime, or he'll say the opposite of what he's been saying in public. And you'll see that he's a liar. That's it. That's the only way this works out. I don't know why they fucking think this is a dunk.
I think we all recognize that he's lying now. And I'll go further and say that Michael Cohen is such a known liar
that Donald Trump considered him one of his closest confidants. He's such a known liar that Trump didn't even want him around when he was hanging out with Epstein. He kept those two separate, lest Michael Cohen realized what a scumbag Trump was early. Yes, I said chocolate. I said chocolate whiz wang, largely because Whoopi Goldberg says it in Jumpin' Jack Flash. Yeah, she says up the old chocolate whiz wang, and I've always loved that line.
Attorney General Letitia James never should have even put him on the stand.
No. She absolutely should. He did time lying for this guy, and he can prove materially that he's telling the truth now because he has communications and the financials point in the direction what he's saying is in line with the facts that bear out in this case.
They are resorting to using Michael Cohen as a witness. I think it goes to show that they don't actually have a case against Donald Trump.
Okay. I got news for you. They're going to bring in everybody who was involved in that business in any major way. And they're going to do that because that's part of their due diligence, so that they can go, everybody who was integral to this plot to lie about Trump's net worth and all this shit, we brought them all in, and you heard them, and some of them you can believe and some of them you can't, but the plurality will show, Your Honor, that this was a bullshit enterprise. Oh, we're at level 1 hype train. We're hype train. Look at that. That's been a while. Thanks, guys. Don't forget super chats. We hit the 666 mark a while back. It's a nice crowd. Look at that. Even outside, it's packed here at House Parks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, share the show, pass it around. Blah de blah de blah. I always forget to do that.
Christina, do facts even really matter in this case? I say that not jokingly, but
as a joke.
At this judge who's going to decide the case, there's no jury. The judge seems to be biased. At this point, it seems like facts don't even matter.
Well, then I think he'll win on appeal, and you got nothing to worry about, and then he'll sue the state, and he'll win. Right? It's not like it's a business licensing thing and not a criminal case, in which case he can file an appeal and get restitution from the state for destroying his business because he was unfairly judged. And, well, we're almost to the level 2 hype train. Hype train. If you're at Twitch, twitch.tv/HouseParks, you can hand out subs, and you can also you can gift them to other people if you already have one. Or if you have Amazon Prime, you can sub for free. It doesn't cost you a dime. Oh, we're so close.
Deal, and we need to focus on an appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Yeah, they're laying ground for appeal because they want to drag this shit out. Doesn't matter. He's gonna lose his business license in New York. It's a privilege, not a right.
The left has resorted to using what political power they have and what governmental power they have.
You mean that they as an elected representative of the people of New York who have asked for this?
To eradicate their political opponent.
Eradicator!
That's what this is. You're right. They're not worried about the facts. They're worried about politics, and they're worried about the election. And
I don't think they're worried about it. They don't seem worried. Trump seems worried. You seem worried. That fucking dude over there in the blue tie seems worried. Michael Cohen doesn't look worried. If you look at Michael Cohen's face right now, doesn't look particularly Does he look like he's worried? Hype train. Look at that. All right.
Worried about keeping power. That is their end game here. I
don't think they're worried about it. I think they're just, promises made, promises kept, as it were.
Goal. And so, no, you're right. I would say facts don't matter. However,
you fucking wish.
This still is the United States of America. We still have our constitutional rights.
I don't know. I've been listening to Trump lately, and he seems to think we're a ninth world country.
Constitutional freedoms. And I think President Trump's legal team is doing a great job countering that, showing that the facts do matter.
No, they suck. They suck. They suck. They're really bad at this.
Facts are on President Trump's side.
You know, I remember, Christina, the very first time I met Mr. Cohen, it was in a Hannity green room. We were both going on air.
Ew.
I remember just thinking I didn't understand why Donald Trump would ever align himself with someone like this. And it was honestly the reason.
You're kidding, right?
Waited a little while to become an official surrogate for the president because I just thought Michael Cohen was such a, call it Holy Spirit discernment. I don't know.
Yes, that's what I would call it. Everybody in the chat would call it that as well. I would call it Holy Spirit discernment. The kind of Holy Spirit discernment that would tell you that Donald Trump would not associate with someone that made you feel skeevy and uncomfortable, even though he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over 2 fucking decades. Holy Spirit. Holy shit.
Didn't like the guy the first time I met him. Felt the same way about Jenna Ellis the first time I met her. But
oh, fuck that. Oh, that little bitch. I mean, honestly. Ugh. I knew it. I could smell it on her. She's just a social climbing. Fucking Jenna Ellis. Jesus Christ. Jenna Ellis, first of all, just like her little statement in court, by the way, was dodging responsibility. I was not a fan. I thought it was stupid. But she opens it up with, as a lawyer and as a Christian, blah, blah, blah. So she literally associates being a Christian with her personal identity. And this fucking CBN future ragbag, like Pat Robertson, fourth wife fill-in, who's, when she gets, on the, as Doug Stanhope would say, on the brown side of ripe, is going to end up on one of these Christian networks with Wagglehead telling us all how to live and selling us fucking tubs full of pancake batter for our fallout shelters, is going to judge fucking Jenna Ellis. She wasn't judging Jenna Ellis until she fucking went, I don't want to go to fucking jail for Donald Trump. Oh, we're almost at a level 5 hype train. Almost on Twitch. Oh, we're so close. I wish there was sort of a hype train thing on YouTube. There's not. You can give out subs, though, and that kind of stuff. It just doesn't have one of these. We got to figure out a way to do something like that. All right. Is the black guy a mannequin? No, I think he just fell asleep.
You look at these turncoats.
They're turncoats. They're filthy, dirty. I hate them.
Really matters here is the court of public opinion. I mean, it does matter, of course, what happens to President Trump. We all care. We don't want him to have any more.
Yes, any more legal problems based on his past behavior. And certainly nothing in relation to the E. Jean Carroll case, because, I've met Donald Trump several times, and he never grabbed me by the pussy, mostly because Melania was around at the time, or that he was already busy grabbing Jenna, which maybe it was jealousy on my part. I don't.
Persecution than he's already endured.
Persecution. Get the fuck out of here.
But the court of public opinion just sides with him every time.
No, it doesn't. He can buy all the fucking polls he wants. It's not going to fucking matter.
Another turncoat. And when you parade these turncoats, like Michael Cohen or like Jenna Ellis or any of the rest of them.
Also, calling them turncoats, by the way, does not mean that they're lying. They have just turned on the person. You can be a turncoat and be a true believer. You can be a turncoat. It's a derogatory term, but it does not associate sort of an ethical root to the belief system of the person. Simply just which side they're on.
In front of the world, more people jump into the MAGA train than ever before.
No. Have you seen the rallies lately? They're real. They've gone from mythology to mushroom dick.
But I guess my question to you is,
can you kick my ass?
Can the poll numbers get any better for President Trump? I mean,
they're not going to. They could, but they're not going to.
They're unprecedented at this point.
Yeah.
No, they're precedented. They're about half of what they were nationwide in 2016.
No, President Trump is going to be the next president of the United States, and they are doing everything they can
Nope.
to stop that. And what they're doing is proving to the American people what Donald Trump says, which he says they're not.
That Jeffrey Epstein likes him on the younger side. Or that Melania should walk around at Mar-a-Lago in a bikini so the other guys know what they're missing. Or that he hopes his daughter has his ex-wife's tits when she's born. And that if his other daughter wasn't related to him, he'd probably be dating her. That stuff? You mean that stuff when he says that stuff? When he says you can grab women by the pussy, if you're a star, they let you do it. And it's happened for millions of years, fortunately.
Either after you, I'm just in the way. And so
yeah, that's absurd.
They've proven that.
By the way, the Jan Sixers, come here for a second. Come here for a second, people. Gather around. Imagine for a moment you're a Jan Sixer in fucking jail, or you've got an ankle bracelet, or you're awaiting trial, and you know you're gonna get fucking time, okay? You know it. You've already been through this shit. Your lawyer has told you you can kiss the judge's ass, you can throw yourself on the mercy of the court, but you're going to get some time. You physically attacked a police officer, you took a shit in the rotunda, you tried to steal some stuff, and you filmed yourself doing it. You're going to fucking jail, or you're already one of the 600 that's in jail. And then you see on the fucking prison monitor or at your house while you're on house arrest, you see Donald Trump saying, they're only coming after me because they want to get to you. And you're like, motherfucker, they already got to me. And you could have pardoned me, and you fucking didn't. Imagine being that person. Every time he says this, or every time somebody on his behalf says it. And then enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that the Jan Sixers that get to grind their teeth in their sleep, 1,000 times for every time one of these assholes says that on his behalf. Think about that for a second. Think about how you would feel if you threw yourself in front of the bus for somebody and they're like, they keep trying to run me over with a bus. And you're like, motherfucker, I am under the bus for you. And he's not going to do anything about it. I like half of it is like part of me almost feels bad for these dopey motherfuckers who fell for this. But on the other hand, no, because of what they did. They brought it on themselves. You're responsible for your own actions. I don't care if you think it's the same thing with the fucking Hamas fighters. I don't care if you think you're engaged in vengeance. If you're sexually assaulting somebody, that's not revenge. That's you getting yours. If you're killing somebody or fucking hacking up a baby, it's not because, this will show them. You're enjoying that. Same thing with the Jan Sixers. They're like, woo, I'm a fucking king of the world. Like, that's what they were doing on that day. We'll show these cops I'm a soldier for the blah, blah. It wasn't about, like, Donald Trump will pat me on the fucking head. They did it for them. But the fact that this dickhead is like, they're only coming after me because I'm in the way. Like, motherfucker, you weren't in the way at all. I'm in jail. Nope. Yeah, you're. In all fairness, she thought last time was a landslide victory, and he fucking lost in a landslide. Yeah, that's what we're all doing. You guys, are you guys okay? I should probably check in with you guys right now. Hold on one second. I didn't even pop back to the screen. You're just listening to it. Hold on. Are you guys? You're good with the suffering? Are you all? I don't want you to suffer in silence with Donald Trump. If all of you need to just wail at the ceiling, oh, feel free. Now's a good time to do it. I do. You know what I mean? Whenever I see him, because I feel so bad for this second generation rich kid game show host fuck and his fake empire.
Crazy legal charges, and
They're crazy. You put classified documents in an unlocked shitter at Mar-a-Lago. Shut the fuck up. You signed off on them.
that he will be back in the White House in 2025.
No, he will not.
Yeah,
Christina.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. You go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead, because I don't want to talk about this, because it's going to come to bite me in the ass. I just know it when I break off and join CBN.
Oh,
Well, I was
please,
just
you
going to
follow
follow
up.
up and say, don't.
And you tell me Republicans can't govern? Honestly, I think both of them would make a great speaker.
Think there's a psychology to all of this that really sort of authentically exposes Donald Trump's character. You look at even though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mean his repetitiveness and his bullshit and him telling the same lie over and over again and being friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over 2 decades. 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. More than 20 fucking years these guys hung out. They hung out. 20 years. Not a couple of flights. Partied regularly. 20 years. He couldn't have known. How could you have known? Nobody knew.
Many of us knew that, some of the people that were on Donald Trump's team originally, some of us had a feeling that they weren't.
Yeah, some of them felt like, no, I didn't have this feeling about you, Christina. Or do I?
Best people. Michael Cohen really at the top of the line, Omarosa, others. But everyone.
Name one that is. I'm dead serious. Name somebody that Donald Trump picked for something that you're like, oh, that guy was fucking money.
Identify with being loyal to a friend to a fault. And that's.
To a fault. No. Emotional faults, intellectual faults, personal faults, that's one thing. But you're asking these fuckers to go to jail for him. Are you of course you're that stupid. You're on RAV.
A bad character trait. And I guess.
Jesus Christ. No, a good character trait is this is gonna endanger my life because maggots are gonna want to fucking murder me, but I still gotta tell the truth. That's where Michael Cohen is. Gets death threats all the time from maggots. All the time. For just telling the truth.
I feel like that really speaks to a part of psychology in America that people can understand. Is that what's happening here in your estimation?
All right, I don't know what the fuck she even said. Hold on. Back the fuck up. Run that by me again, stupid. See if you guys can work this out. Something basically about like it's terrible character on their part, or it shows great strength and fortitude because he can surround himself with shitty people, and when they stop being shitty, they're now shitty. I don't.
Many of us knew that, some of the people that were on Donald Trump's team.
Oh, it's so hard for her to say, too. I won't interrupt. Here we go.
Originally, some of us had a feeling that they weren't the best people. Michael Cohen really at the top of the line, Omarosa, others. But everyone can identify with being loyal to a friend to a fault. And that's not a bad character trait. And I guess I feel like that really speaks to.
No. Stop, hold, fuck you. Listen, Miss Shallow Grave, North Carolina, 2016. If a friend of mine asks me to commit a crime, the answer is no. And if I'm asked under oath, if they ask me to do that, I'm going to say yes. Because they're not a friend if they ask me to engage in a crime. Because I'm not a criminal. Let them go ask another criminal to help them in their fucking crimey crimes. You don't just fucking die on the fucking wall for a piece of shit like Donald Trump that would throw you to the fucking wolves at the first sign. He He didn't cover. He asked. He had Michael Cohen lie for him, and then when Michael Cohen did it under oath, he was like, "Oh, fuck that guy." And then he's like, "These people, Ron DeSanctimonious isn't loyal." This is so fucking weird. I have never seen someone guzzle Kool Aid on the air like this.
A part of psychology in America that people can understand. Is that what's happening here in your estimation?
No.
I think so, and I think Donald Trump draws a lot of people, right? He has a lot of people around him, and
yeah, like whales have sucker fish. He doesn't have any friends. He has zero fucking friends. Donald Trump has no friends. He has partners in crime, some partners in business that aren't engaged in criminal activity yet because he hasn't suckered them into some stupid ploy. And then he has sycophants and hangers-on who think they're going to ladder climb over his fucking head at some point or leapfrog through life because they know him and he can, because he's a fucking shark in their mind, he can push them to the front of the line over people that are more deserving of making it in certain industries, real estate in particular. This dude doesn't have any fucking friends. None. Donald Trump has no friends. I have, and I'm sure many of you, I would, chat room, welcome to hear from you. Like, I don't know how, like, even if you have one, it's great. But I have at least a dozen people that I could call if I was down or in a really bad situation and get a sounding board and help if I needed to. If I was really a fucking wreck about something or I was in deep shit, I could go, I need some help with this. I'm at the end of my rope or whatever. There's a dozen people I could call. And that's not even including family members. These are friends, human beings that I've cultivated. And there are well over 5 or 6 dozen people that could call me in that way. And they know it. Like deep abiding, decades-long friendships, like people know this, but there's like certain people in my life, I think the number is probably around 6 or 7 right now, that have what I would call a 3 a.m. phone call privilege in my life. And the other ones could too, but they just wouldn't or don't necessarily need it. But if they needed this window and they were like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're fucked for whatever reason. I love them and trust them and know them well enough that I would come to their aid immediately at that hour. You're goddamn right. And it's not. It doesn't even require effort to think about it in that regard. Of course. And my girlfriend, like Summer, would go, help him. Yeah, that's rough. You know what I mean? Because we built a level of trust with this human being, and the friendship is so deep that they wouldn't ask to be bailed out of something shitty they're a good enough person where they would go, this is on me. But if they were in a real troubled situation where they needed help around it, where they hadn't, they're not going to call me to fucking bury a body. They're going to call me to, pick them up by the side of the road if their car broke down in the middle of fucking nowhere or something like that. Like that kind of shit. And so I trust them in that because I have a friendship with them that they would not prey on and I wouldn't prey on theirs. And that's the depth of the relationship. Donald Trump has no one in his life like that. No one. Yes, I got your rain or shine. That's exactly right. Donald Trump has no one in his life like that. Even, I would argue, more than likely, his fucking wife. She would, if anything, she would go, why isn't Corey handling this? And click. I have Goomba context right. Trump has no one because he hasn't earned it. Why? I mean, look at Michael Cohen and understand that was probably the closest person. Michael Cohen is the closest Donald Trump has ever gotten to somebody like that. Because Michael Cohen said he would take a bullet for Donald Trump because Michael Cohen was under the impression that Donald Trump was his friend. And that a lot of this was going because they were comrades in this shit, that they were working together and that they were simpatico in this, and that he was almost like another son or something like that. And it was all bullshit. And when he woke up to the fact that it was all bullshit, he had to confront his own moral and emotional and psychological weaknesses that allowed him to become a fucking target for a dickhead like Donald Trump and be used like this. And now he's over it and he's not going to fall for it again. Christina Bobb is being paid to say this shit. The rest of these hosts don't have any fucking skin in this game. Donald Trump is not going to ask them for anything other than an interview, and they're going to take it because it gets them views on their channel. That's it. They're hoping to get it. As a matter of fact, all this ass kissing you see on RAV is simply each one of these dickheads hoping they get an exclusive with Donald Trump because they know maggots will watch it to a certain extent, and that marginally will give them a boost in their network if they can get Donald Trump to sign on to this. That's it. It's not based on actually any relationship. Yeesh. Would you bail them out of jail? I have bailed friends out of jail. But it's been since high school before anybody has asked me to bail them out of jail. And I would have to believe they were innocent to bail them out of jail. In which case, like, again, build up trust over time. That's going to be a long conversation. What about this? What about this? What about this hypothetical?
I would go out and say that the vast majority of people around Donald Trump are very, very good. Has he had a few Michael Cohens in his life?
A few? Fucking everybody, dummy. You're on the paycheck. You're not his friend. He's not your friend. You're a paid legal spokesperson for him. And if he goes down, you go down because you participated in one of his crimes. Maybe more, but one we know of. Whoops.
Yeah, but when you look at the sheer number of people in his life, you're bound to have a few Judases. Look at Mike Pence. Good.
Hold on. Jesus had, for the record, every human on the planet in his life. And he had one Judas. And even that Judas helped make the prophecy happen. Let me explain to you something about Judas, if I may. The character, the being of Judas in the Bible is the most necessary apostle. Without Judas, Jesus never becomes Jesus. He has to be crucified for this prophecy to come out. And if Judas doesn't do what he does, Jesus never becomes the crucified Savior. So even Judas is a fucking good guy. Judas hung himself because he thought Jesus was going to rise up like a military leader and rule. Like he was going to call Jesus' bluff. And when it didn't work out that way, and they actually crucified him, he felt so guilty he killed himself. That's what happened to Judas. Judas was you could arguably say he loved Jesus the most. I only say that in the context that these motherfuckers call themselves Christians. Deep, like not just surface Christians, not like label Christians, but they believe they're more Christian than other Christians. You understand? And their ability to even comprehend that aspect of it, that without Judas, there is no prophecy. Without the prophecy coming true, there is no Jesus Christ. There is no Messiah at all. Again, this is not even whether you believe it or not. The point is that their allegation, that she uses that as the analogy, just shows how full of shit she actually is. Benedict Arnold is the phrase. You're going to have a few Benedict Arnolds. Now, never mind the fact that she's aligning Trump with Jesus in this stuff, which is just fucking, that in and of itself is sacrilege and bullshit. But
I'm so proud to get to work with so many of the people that I work with and President
like who?
Trump's team, whether, in any capacity,
Yeah, in any capacity as a spokes, and also the Iraq. Who? Say one name, because I'm going to bet you that if she said three names, at least one of them, if not all of them, will eventually have to turn state's evidence on Donald Trump or go to fucking jail because he's engaged them in criminality.
There's many of us involved with President Trump. And
yes, he has a large team because nobody's good. So he's taking the shotgun approach. Maybe if I have 10 idiots, one of them will have a reasonable idea. I can't afford the one person with the good idea, so I'll get 10 people and maybe one of them will go, I read the thing last night and magically found a way out of this.
Hold most of them in high regard. And certainly, I'm grateful I never had to work with Michael Cohen, but he would be one that I would say, maybe wasn't the best choice.
Yeah. Wasn't the best choice. Hey, idiot. Donald Trump worked with Michael Cohen for a long fucking time. longer than you have known or given a shit about Donald Trump. Pre-2016, you didn't give a rat fuck about who Donald Trump was in particular. He was just some dude who was in Home Alone 2 and it was hosting a fucking fake business game show like Shark Tank for idiots. That's all you knew about him. Back when Michael Cohen was paying off porn stars and arranging for abortions for the fucking guy.
But the vast majority of people around President Trump and his family are really, really good people, and I'm honored and proud to be a part of that organization.
Exceptional.
Except they are exceptional people, and especially Don Jr.'s coke dealer. That dude, I swear, he can find anything. It's funny, in the middle of the night, he can just ask him, and he shows up. Just here they are. Yep, it's a timing belt for a 72 Chevy. That's what you wanted. I got it. Woo!
Christina, speaking of Michael Cohen, and Gina mentioned her first encounter with him. My first encounter with him was 12 years ago, and the word smarmy comes up, honestly.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. You didn't say anything about that at the time, did you? All you're telling me is you're full of shit. I don't want to hear that after the fact you're like, I lived with Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years. I was his groundskeeper and his driver, and a lot of times I would let people in and out of the house, and I did a lot of the cleaning up after him and that kind of stuff, whatever. But when I first met him, I was like, there's something off about this guy. After he goes to fucking jail and ends up, dead. You know what I mean? You don't get points for that, fuckhead. You don't. All you're telling me is that you were willing to lie about Michael Cohen's character while he was lying on behalf of Donald Trump, while he was being one of Trump's scumbags on retainer. You were willing to let that slide, even though supposedly your fucking spidey sense went off? Get the fuck out of here. There have been people I won't name their names because they're not criminally bad. I have not run into anyone that I was like, oh shit, that person later on turned out to be a fucking crook or something. But I will say that there have been a couple of people I've worked with where I was like, nah, I don't think so. I don't need to be around that person at all. And with good reason. You know what I mean? Like, they've never been charged with a crime, but I wouldn't doubt it if someday if they were. And I just don't, there was nothing about me like, hey, all right, they're ahead of me. I've made jokes a couple times about how my old agent was like, you need to be more like Chris D'Elia or James Franco. Like, he just had a perfect talent for saying, you need to be more like this person, who later on would turn out to be a fucking rat scumbag, like, sexual predator. Like, it was amazing. And it was because, at the time, these people were ahead of me in line in the fame game. And he was like, yeah, you should be more like that. I'm like, no. Not going anywhere near that shit. I'm not hanging in those circles. I'm not trying to cozy up to those motherfuckers. I'm not trying to go to the same restaurants they go to. I'm not going to go hang out at the fucking Improv and hope they show up. Fuck that. I'm not going. Because I just don't, because no. And then they turn out to be, like, this asshole's like, I was like smarmy. He was smarmy. Like, okay, first of all, who in Trump's orbit isn't fucking smarmy? Have you seen his fucking furniture? Everything is smarmy. It's all nouveau riche horseshit.
And I felt like I had to take a shower afterwards. I mean, literally.
What do you mean literally? All right. Secondly, and you let that slide for how long? Half a decade?
You kind of get that feeling like, he's going to sell me like a watch from his pocket or something. I don't know. But, it's like one of those situations. But beyond all that, sorry, I went off on a tangent there for a second.
Yeah.
But like, if this was such nefarious activity, where were former DAs?
For the record, the tangent this asshole went off on had nothing to do with Michael Cohen. The tangent this guy went off on was a tangent about how he, in the name of political expedience on behalf of what he sees as his side of the party, or his side of the political spectrum, he will lie on behalf of those people and hide his genuine feelings about any member of it for political expedience or to his audience. Because if he felt these things, he never said them. Now, here on the other side of this, I don't believe this at all. I think he's full of shit. I think he runs all these motherfuckers are smarmy. This dickhead is going to have Matt Gaetz on in a couple of days and talk about what a great American he is. And Matt Gaetz is smarm with legs. That motherfucker is just oozes douchebag. Which I apologize for using oozes and douchebag in the same. What are you going to do? But he's, honestly, this guy's going to have on Matt Gaetz at some point and just talk about what great work he's doing and great work he's doing. And this, while he's under ethical investigation for transporting underage girls across state lines with the help of his buddy Joel Greenberg, who made fake IDs for them so that he could fly them out of the state, drug them, and fuck them. Like, what the hell?
Trump's been in business for decades.
No, his dad was in business for decades, and then he has slowly but surely burned his dad's business to the ground.
I mean, you're telling me that he just did this under the last few years under Michael Cohen or last 5-10 years? I mean, he's been...
No one is saying that. Everybody is operating... there's a statute of limitations. Otherwise, they'd have similar charges going back to the late 80s against Donald Trump if they could. Nobody is saying Trump just started criming recently. No one.
So whatever, since I saw him in that Macaulay Culkin movie, he's been around forever, Christina.
Yes, and he's been a running gag in New York City as a criminal charity ripoff prick.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And any normal person, even the banks, not just normal people, the banks that issued these loans looked at the numbers and actually valued the properties higher. So there's no...
Also, the banks that bailed him out, like Deutsche Bank, which got really skeevy money under the table from Russia. Or banks that were routing money out of Bank of Cyprus, and you got Wilbur Ross in the fucking White House. There was a value add to this situation. I mean, look at the Eric Trump's interview where he's talking about how much money they get out of China, much less Don Jr.'s. We get all the money we need out of Russia.
Actual wrongdoing here, not to mention the loans have been paid back. The bank.
Yeah, he had multiple bankruptcies, and he paid back the loans through sketchy means.
Thought that they were good business. They would do it again if they would. There's no victim.
Then why don't they? I look forward. Thank you for the time check, CSL. 4:36, and I gotta bail out at like 10 to 5. I don't know. I can probably make it all the way to 5. As long as I'm hot out at 5, I should be okay.
This is purely an unadulterated attempt by the left to try to take out their political opponent.
No, I don't think anybody gives a fuck if he ran for president again. He ran for president because he thought it would be cover. Otherwise, and by the way, there was no belief really that he was going to run again right after January 6th. Like, for the most part, his party was like, fuck this guy for at least a few weeks. And all this shit started around then. And also, the Democrats, the left, did not concoct this fucking documents case. He fought for over a year to keep confidential documents, top secret documents, human intel, that he did not have a right to have at his property in a space that was not secure, while he rented out rooms there to God knows fucking who, to anybody who wanted a membership there, blathered about it to whoever the fuck would listen, even said it to fucking Meadows' biographers. The Democrats didn't make him commit that crime. The Democrats by the way, didn't, after the Mueller report came out and Bill Barr ran cover for him, make him call Zelensky and try to concoct a fake investigation into Biden to try and win the 2020 election because he knew he was losing. These are all, at best, unforced errors by a shit criminal.
I think it's backfiring in the worst way, and it's proving that Donald Trump was right on all of it. And, you think about people say, oh, but I don't like the mean tweets. If only...
No. I think it's the rapey stuff.
Have been different. He's been screaming to us that our house is on fire.
And it isn't. Right. And people have been running outside and they're like, the house isn't on fire. The fuck are you talking about? Well, I meant this, the stove is on. Yeah, we're cooking dinner. Yeah, but it was very hot. I heard a beeping noise. That's the timer on Alexa. My cookies are done. Now they're burnt. Thanks, asshole.
And people are going, I don't like the way he says it.
Yeah, so true. The world is on fire. As you can tell, American sunrise. If you look behind me, that used to just be a white circle. Look, it's ablaze right now. It's terrible.
No, there are no mean tweets. Donald Trump is calling out the left. He's calling out not just the left,
No, not the left, not everyone. All Americans who suck.
Corruption on the right as well. The corruption on the left, on the right. He's screaming fire, fire to the American people that
Yes, in a crowded theater from one of the seats, and everyone's going, Jesus Christ, what's on fire? And they're like, no, hi, dum-dum. That's a little piece of silk cut to look like flames, and there's a little fan and a light behind it. That's not real fire. Sit down, Grandpa.
government is corrupt and it's taking us down, and people are criticizing him, saying, oh, I don't like his mean tweets.
No, they're specifically calling him out on policy, like Title 42, which was the direct cause that set up a situation where the cartels could make money on the Mexican border because no one could be penalized for crossing the border multiple times. So under Title 42, they could try again and again and again and again. The first time they pay, the second time maybe they pay a little less or a little more. The third time they have to carry drugs, or they have to be sexually assaulted or be human trafficked. And then multiple times, just one after the other. And if they desperately want to get out of there, they run out of options, and they start doing more and more desperate things to actually do that. And they cross 8, 10, 15 times so that he can use that and say 15 million people have crossed because 2 million people have crossed a dozen times each.
If my house is on fire and I'm stuck inside, I don't care if someone's rude when they tell me, right?
Right, but if it's not on fire and there's just an issue with the plumbing and you need to call a plumber, not the fucking fire department, to soak the goddamn house down, some asshole yelling fire in your living room is, what's the word? Counterproductive.
Out, yes.
Yeah. Yes, it's so on fire. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're doing great work or whatever. Next up, is caffeine good or bad? We'll find out right after this. And I have to tell you, it's Taco Tuesday again, and it's too much for me on my tum-tums.
Yeah,
he's screaming fire, fire, and they're gag ordering him at every turn.
Yeah. He's saying fire, fire, and they're gag ordering him at every turn. Okay, I guess that passes for English in a rudimentary sense, but they're not. There's no gag order against him complaining about what politically the political shortcomings of the United States. None. He just can't dox fucking state and federal workers that he doesn't like. Oh, that's the end of it? No, it's almost the end.
They're giving him gag orders all the time.
They are. They're just giving him gag orders all the time. But it might have something to do with him, like posting the home address and the relatives and like pictures of people and like where their house is, so people could geolocate where they are and fucking hunt them down and kill them because he's saying you have to end this. This person has to be ended. And so, but it's like they're gag ordering him all the fucking time, and it's all he's doing is yelling fire to a bunch of people with guns. So it's a little different than, like fire. If it's a house fire, it's more like ready, aim. But
Yeah, Christina Bobb, always great to have you on the show.
Always great to have you on the show, especially when the world is on fire. As you can see behind me, where it's, mildly overcast, which is the same thing. Christina, thanks for being on. Hashtag Rip Portland. The world is over, and we've all got raging diarrhea, and I'm bleeding from my anus right now. And so we're going to go to break right after this because Satan rules the world, and Donald Trump was trying to warn us, and we didn't listen. And it's because people like Michael Cohen lied on his behalf and then stopped lying on his behalf. And I think that's how we can tell that there are demonic forces. And the Holy Spirit is telling me that the reason I'm shitting blood is because, sorry, I don't know where I went. I just love how everybody's like, the world is on fire, it's on fire, whatever. And like, what do we want to have for lunch? Oh my God, are we having Chipotle again? Like, they had that conversation right after this fucking thing. We're out of cardboard cups I washed out my mug, and then, I was like, I don't want to have to wash my mug every day. And then, at the coffee machine, and then they run out of cardboard cups. And I like to mix the two together and make the little latte thing that on the setting, because it's really hit and miss. And then if I want to stop at Starbucks, and we only have one assistant working amongst all of us, so it's really just a nightmare. The world is on fire. Anyways, so I like to mix both of them, and then I pour them into my big mug and stuff. So I need 2 paper cups to make 1 mugged cup of coffee for myself. Otherwise, I just can't have my day, honestly, or whatever. And I was telling my stylist a couple of minutes ago that while she was doing my nails, which don't even really matter on screen, they're all basically general makeup, but I noticed that the world is just like, the crime rate is out of control. And she was like, do you like this hairspray? Does it smell too fruity to you? And I was like, no, it's just fine. And anyways, she was attaching one of my extensions. And I was thinking to myself, it is really terrible, the state of, like, immigrants were in here. And I was asking my my hairstylist who was putting the extensions in her, what's her name? Guadalupe? Lupe? We just call her Lupe. Is it Lupe? Esmeralda. Oh, Esmeralda Cucina Gonzalez. Okay. I don't know. She's like the 3rd one this week. Anyways, they all kind of vaguely, resemble. Anyways, she was putting in my extensions of real human hair from India. And I was like, and she was telling me how much they cost. And they're like, I was used to use synthetic hair, and it was so much cheaper. And then I went with the real hair, and it was so much more expensive. And I was just thinking, inflation is out of control. And thank God Donald Trump is telling us that the world is on fire. Jesus Christ. Birth of a new character? Absolutely. That's who this fucking woman is. The blonde chick up in the corner. That's who she is. I guarantee it. That is all of her conversations at work. The Holy Spirit is telling me to lay off the sweet and low, sister. Let me tell you. Anyways, Guadalupe, Maria. I don't fucking know. What's her name again? What's her name? Lucia. Shit. Lucia left. You're Maria. She is Maria. See, I told you, Maria Lucia. You're Maria Lucia Maria. I see. Anyways, do we have any more of the Toblerones that we got? Yeah. Are there any more of those? Can you put one of those in my dressing room? I just need a nibble right after work. It's fabulous. Anyways, Jesus Christ. I'm not kidding. I'm joking, but I'm fucking not. You absolutely know that that's exactly what this woman sounds like on set in between shit. And you know how I know this? Because these people are all cut from the Good Morning Oklahoma crowd, and that's how they all talk. And you know what? When the Good Morning Oklahoma crowd does it, or fucking the folks in Lexington, Kentucky that I go see who talk like that, they're fine. They're not racist in that way. They're lovely, and they do have chit-chat conversations. It's almost all they do, right? Oh my God. My problem is French fries. I can't get enough of them. And it's funny, but it's like French fries, they're like built to be held by 4 fingers and eaten one at a time. But I eat them like 6 at a time, and it's like, oh God. You know what I could do? I can get into a bag of taco shells, and I will not stop. And they're better, like, because what I do is I melt some cheese on them, and they're like homemade Doritos. And my husband, he goes crazy for them. So I make them, and then we crush them up. We make our own kind of nachos, and it really works. You can microwave them, and it's whenever you've got taco shells that go stale, you just crunch them up, put cheese on them, and you've got, it like makes them more. I don't even know how to say it, but makes them fresh again. But I mean, they're not. They're obviously chewy and a little bit wet, but He loves them, and it's just a great snack. And we have someone on the show who's coming up in the next half hour that's going to show us a better way of doing that. And I don't think it's possible. But anyways, so like I'm dead serious. That's exactly what this idiot talks like. And both of these men, by the way, don't say a fucking word. They just go, oh, I know. Oh, yeah. They just kind of, hey, you can't, Like, they don't even finish a fucking thought, much less a sentence when she goes on like that. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. If I snuck in there with all of them, would be like, because A, they've got nothing to say and they don't give a shit. And secondarily, they can't wait to get the fuck out of there. To go home and sit down on the couch and pretend they were fucking riding ATVs or fishing or something. They'll tell stories about going hunting and they fucking don't. It's just fucking embarrassing. And then they get invited on hunting trips by, Sean Hannity's friends or some shit like that. And they just embarrass themselves by nearly fucking Dick Cheneying other people on the trip. Yeah.